Hello ladies and gentlemen, and a happy new year to all of you. Welcome to Beardychiel's Knitting Banter, episode 24, New Year, New Cast On. My name is John Glenn and I'm your host for the Beardychiel podcasts, and I am here sitting back in my conservatory today, feeling back to normal after the holiday mayhem that hits at this time of year. And this is the first podcast of 2018. So a big welcome to those of you who are returning viewers. I hope you've had a really nice festive season and New Year season, and that you're ready for rushing into whatever the year brings you. I hope it's something nice. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. I hope you have a nice time joining us, you enjoy the podcast, and you decide that you're going to stay with us, so you subscribe. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. So, what can I tell you? My name is John Glenn, as I said, I'm the host of your podcast, and you will find me as Beardychiel on social media. You'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Ravelry, Instagram, obviously here on YouTube, and all of these names and places have been flicking up on the screen while I've been chatting. If you're looking for me in email, you can contact me on beardychiel@gmail.com, and if you're looking for the Beardychiel website, which is due its 2018 spring update, it's www.beardychiel.uk. And that's the introductions done and dusted. So it's really nice to be back. I'm feeling really quite in need of a haircut at the start of the year. I washed my face today and I can't do a thing with it. My instructions from my wife and my grandchildren are that I've not to trim my beard again, I have to let it grow, so that this time next year people will believe I am Santa Claus. Well, we'll see how that goes. It could be fun after the last episode. A little roundup of what we have for you in this particular episode. We have the traditional bits of any good knitting podcast. We've got the works in progress. We have the finished objects. We have the holiday nitty prezzies. We have information on EYF, Perth Festival of Yarn, with information on Beardychiel's Rhodes Retreat, and we have information on giveaway and competition updates. So quite a lot to get through today, and I'm hoping to fit it all into a single shot to camera, give or take one or two minor interruptions. We'll see how it goes. We might even do the draw for the Santa Lucia giveaway while we're live on air. So, where are we going to start today? Let's start with finished objects today, just for a bit of fun and a different sequence. So, since I last spoke to you, which was just before Christmas, there was mad mayhem and knitting, and I've still got one here for showing off today, in the production of these. The 1980s cartoon character Postman Pat jumpers. Postman Pat, or Doughy Pat as he is affectionately known by my grandsons, is a great family favourite with Leo and Ruben. They both think he is absolutely wonderful, and Janet found an old book of Postman Pat patterns that we've had since the late 80s, early 90s, and she decided that it would be fun a week before Christmas to say that we'll make 2 of these and give them to the boys. So one was duly finished in time for Christmas Day, and one took a couple of days longer, and they'll pick that up in the next day or so. I love it. I just think Postman Pat looks absolutely super duper. The knitting was fine, the little bits of embroidery were fine. Fronts, backs and collars by me, sleeves by Mrs. Janet. Absolutely super duper fun. It's acrylic from assorted different suppliers, all purchased from Wool Warehouse, so that it would come at high speed. We've gone through just about all of the red that we bought. There's a ball of blue left, some black, a little bit of brown, a little bit beige, a little bit white. But other than that, it's gone really, really well. That was fine. So that was one finished object. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Looking for something high speed to do the other night. My wife was clearing out a cupboard and hit me with 4 balls of sort of super chunky type yarn, destined for 10mm needles, and she said, I found this, and it was for hats and scarves, and we bought it a couple of years ago and it's been lying in the cupboard ever since. What do you want to do with it? And I thought, well, I tell you what, let's just use some of it up. Let's have a cowl, because cowls at this time of year always seem a good idea. So just one big ribbed chunky cowl and one nice simple chunky beanie type hat. It took an evening to knit. I mean, you're talking what, an hour and a bit for the cowl, an hour and a bit for the hat. Because it's on 10mm needles, it just knits up so quickly. I don't even know what the fibre mix in it. I'm guessing it's mainly synthetic. It doesn't feel... there was no labels on it. It was just 4 balls of wool sitting in a bag, or 4 balls of yarn sitting in a bag. And I thought, I'm going to use that up. I hate waste. Let's just do something really quick with it, something fun with it. And that was it. A really nice, simple, ribbed hat, knitted top down. So 2x1 rib on the way down and 1x1 rib on the edge, a nice soft cast off. This is a sort of mock fisherman's rib cowl, about 12-14 inches in diameter, but enough of it that it wraps tightly around your neck and keeps you nice and cosy. Absolutely fine for me. I don't intend to keep it for myself. This one, I think, will be an instant giveaway to somebody, or it may well be, I mean, when you look at it, it is wildly chunky. I mean, massively chunky. So the cellular properties of it are fairly robust. I mean, thermally, it's going to be a relative success. A fun knit, something to take your mind off of everything else, which was absolutely super. So, 2 bits of knitting that got completely finished over the holidays. There have been several other whips that have been on the go, which have been worked away on. There's another hat, which is a sort of cabled hat, which has been started. You'll see that in whips in a second, and you'll see some of the other odds and ends in one of the other sections later on as well. But those are the finished objects from over the holiday period since the last time I saw you. And that's about it. The pattern launch for the hooded bat came and went quite well. 5 lucky surprise hooded bat winners got a free copy of the pattern, because I noticed that at the end of the first day 60 people had added it to their favourites list, and I thought, well, it's coming up to New Year's Eve, let's give them a surprise. And a random number generator picked 5 numbers, went down through the number of favourites, and 5 folk were sent an email with a gift of the pattern in it, wishing them a happy new year and a happy New Year's cast on, since they'd said they fancied trying the hooded bat. With my compliments, go ahead and knit it. 2 of them have been back in touch. I'm guessing that the others may not have been back in Ravelry over the holidays, so I expect to hear from the next couple of days to say that they've received their patterns safely. I hope they've received them safely. There were one or two went to other podcasters, and I dare say that they will be featuring giveaways at some point in the future. So that was fine. I was quite pleased with that, in fact. What else? Over the holidays there have been several pattern sales, which I'm absolutely pleased with. The Hooded Bat has sold several times, the Tulip and the Rose, the Forest 4 shawl, some sock patterns. Basically a nice little turnover, so much so that for the first time in a couple of months I've had to pay an invoice back to Ravelry, which is a good sign. So that's that. Postman Pat, the Chunky. That really winds that bit up for the time being. I can't think of anything else that I need to add to those bits. So, what's next? Well, whips. There are two whips with me today. One of them is a hat, and it's in this. This is one of my Christmas nitty prezzies. This is a Star Trek project bag from a Little Bee Accessories. This was purchased for me by dear sweet Janet and came as a Christmas present. She bought it in October at the Perth Festival of Yarn Winter is Coming event, and in it is one ball of multicoloured yarn which has started to become the top of a hat. So it's just a nice simple little 6-sectioned cabled hat. More details to follow as I rattle down it. No pattern being followed, it's just make it up as you go along and keep a note of it. I have to say, I love the fact that there are loads of teacups inside this bag as well, Kirsty. So that was that. And the ball of yarn was a Christmas present from Alistair and Louise. In fact, it was one of 3 balls of yarn. Let's do the Christmas nitty prezzies. So we have a project bag. We have some balls of yarn. These 2 balls of Chunky came as well. And they feel really, really nice. And I had started a double knitting project with them the other night. And I got about 6 or 8 inches into it and realised that in terms of double knitting, there's not enough for the scarf that I wanted to work on, so rather than mess about, I just ripped it out again, and I'm going to come up with a second plan. So that was that. And the final nitty prezzy of the holidays was some Haya needles from my good lady wife. So I am quite pleased to say that I added some Haya needles and cords to my collection of bits and pieces. And of course one set had to go into use almost instantly, and they are on that lovely cabled hat that I've just shown you. So that was a lovely surprise from Janet. I was delighted to get those. Been saying that I'm going to buy them for ages. Oh, there we are. There was a whip sneaked in there while we were talking. Yeah, this is this was the Christmas to New Year cast on. And the other work in progress between Christmas and New Year was I had said that I had an idea for a new large shawl for wrapping around for the spring, based on or inspired by the Pentland Firth, that stretch of water between the north coast of Scotland and the Orkney Islands, where the Atlantic Ocean meets the North Sea. Contains one of the fastest tidal races, if not the fastest tidal race in the world. And the waves there and the colours of the water at different times of year, can range from greys to pale aqua at the beaches, to deep blues, almost to purples at times. It changes constantly with the sky and the time of day. I've even seen it pink, and I've seen it reflecting the greens and purples of the aurora borealis. So it's quite a considerably inspiring place. And the wave shapes, the white horses, just the power that's in it at times made me think I wanted to do something shawl inspired, or a shawl inspired by it. And when I was ordering the acrylic for Postman Pat, in order to get free carriage, I had to throw in a couple of balls of something extra. And I was looking, I knew that I fancied something Aran weight for this shawl. I wanted it to be a sort of heavier shawl, a quicker knit again. And I found two colourways in the Drops Big Delight range, which contained all of the colours which I wanted. So I settled down with my graph paper and my notebook, and I started jotting down ideas, opened up my tablet, started searching the web, looking for wave inspirations, looking for pictures of the Pentland Firth, looking for storms. And I realised that for the sort of gentler bits of wave, it was quite straightforward and quite easy to use knit and purl textured waves with the occasional hole to create a piece of light or froth or something round about it. And then when I thought of it at its most powerful with really big waves and big breakers, I thought, oh dear heavens. And there were plenty of photographs, but pardon me, oh, I've got a cheek. It needed to become something slightly more stylised. And I was thinking, right, how do I make that sort of, how do I make that transformation from real life to almost cartoon line drawing or shape that could eventually become what I wanted? And I realised that there are some wave drawings and wave paintings which I have been quite inspired by in the past, and I think they capture the sort of the poetic nature of big waves at the same time as the power and intensity. And I was thinking of Japanese watercolours of waves and Japanese style tattoos of waves. So I did some searches for images there to put together a sort of mood board or an inspiration board for myself, and I got the information that I wanted and used the sort of knits and purls to create the texture of the rise and the curve of the wave, whether there's some vertical striation at times, whether there's an undulation in that vertical rise of the wave before it falls back in itself, and then the froth on the top is so full of air and so full of light that I thought I can simulate that with lacework and holes. And I thought it would be nice if the whole thing had the curve of a wave to it as well, so there could only be one possible shape that would lend itself to that type of work, and here it is. And this is the first third of that shawl, and it's already 100 grams, so that first third of the shawl is 100 grams of 100% wool Aran weight yarn, and it is Drops Big Delight, colour, oh no, I can't remember which is which. It's either colour 09 Dialot 3210 or colour 04 Dialot 3212, because the two colours that I found, one had all the colours of the waves in it, and the other had Caithness Sky and Foreshore colours, and it's this one. It's greys, creams, mucky sky blues, dark starry night blue, and a kind of sand brown. And this is everything that you get above the waves or beside the waves in Caithness in a single ball. And I thought, I'm going to create a central panel that uses this, but what's the inspiration going to be in terms of texture? And for me, I had to think of something that is prominent in Caithness, and along the coast of Caithness we have a lot of cliffs, which are characterised by having things run at shallow diagonal. There are sort of basically sandstone cliffs, sandy brown cliffs with diagonal striation in them, but the diagonal striation are broken by jagged vertical cracks and breaks. And I thought, okay, so let's try and create lots of different textures which are running at an angle, and let's break those with something that's going to create vertical craggy breaks or horizontal craggy breaks. But allowing for the fact that this was being knitted that way up, I've gone for vertical craggy breaks this way, and textured stitches that are running diagonally between the vertical breaks, and it's almost created a kind of zigzag edge for me to start off this next section. I'm about 12 rows into the middle section of it. I'm quite happy with the way it's starting to look. It is textures of knits and purls, various broken rib type stitches, moss stitches, versions of ribs and diagonal twisted ribs, and the vertical breaks are being created by some weird and wonderful versions of different cable patterns or variations of cable patterns. Now, I don't know if you'll see many of the wave motifs in this at the moment. They go from little trickling waves to, and this section here there is a single curling small wave, but the wool itself is so dark where that's happened it's kind of hard to see. But I know that I can definitely see the lace is starting to show quite well, and by the time you get up to sort of the bigger lacy sections at the top, you don't see it quite so well in this light, but the lace is there, and if it was backlit it would show. So this is the test knit. This is the prototype. I'm going to finish that over the next couple of weeks. The pattern is 90% written already. Once I decided what I wanted, actually constructing the pattern wasn't incredibly arduous, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to try and get the middle section knitted over the next 2 or 3 days, and then get on to the second winged section to create its wraparound. So you have these two curving wings with a large scallop shelled central panel, which is knitted from side to side. So if you start at one corner, and as you knit that corner it comes up, and then it runs around the shell, and then it will run back in again and off up to the top edge. I'm hoping that people enjoy it when they see it finished. It's been fun to work on so far. I would hope to get this test knit finished for myself, mess around with it, evaluate it, and then look for a single coloured yarn. The multicoloured yarn is nice, and it was a nice inspiration, but I'm not convinced that it shows the detail in the pattern off to best advantage. So I'm looking for a lighter I don't know, I'm looking for something softer and lighter in colour that's going to let me celebrate the texture that's actually in the pattern a little more for the final knit. But you know me, I do like to knit things once or twice, so once for the prototype and once for the final will be absolutely fine. And that's my works in progress at the moment. The stranded colour work waistcoat is still in the go, or cardigan is still in the go. Oh, pardon me, my nose is itchy. I'll need to get back to that in the next couple of weeks as well and do some work on that. The cabled hat will get some work as well, and that's fine. So what else have I got for you? This is going quite quickly today, woohoo! Beardychiel's knitting retreat. Nothing has changed since the last update I gave you, so I have no new news to pass on. As we said last time, applications for places will remain open until the end of January, and I look forward to hearing from anyone who after the holidays decides they would like to join us in Rhodes. That's myself, Nathan Taylor the Sockmatician, Ellie Landstrom, Scandia, and we are going to have a wonderful week at the Rhodian Sun Hotel. Come and join us along with the 30 other folk who are the 35 other folk who have said they want to come and be part of the week. And that's from the 26th of May until the 2nd of June 2018. So that's that bitty. Competitions that are running. There are a couple of competitions still running. The Santa Lucia sock giveaway, courtesy of Anna Friedberg, Yarnisty, has come to an end, and I am going to go have a look, see how many entrants there are for that, and draw the prizes for that one while we are on air. So let's just get in and we will have a quick look. Let's just use the phone. What am I looking for? We went into Ravelry, Bedouin, into forums, and into the Yarnisty giveaway. Okay, if you remember, people were asked to specify their favourite dish, so let's just find out who the lucky winners of that are going to be. Random number generator. Right. Right, so let's have a look and see who the lucky winners are. So we go all the way back, and the first lucky winner is post number 4. Don't believe it. Right, post number, oh, Get in there. Right. Post number 4. Where are we? Now, just to let you see, in my notebook, as I hit the random number generator, I wrote down the 2 random numbers it generated, and it's post number 4 and number 7. And post number 4 is Penny Lou 01. That's Penny Lewis, my favourite test knitter. Penny will be absolutely delighted to have won a sock pattern. She's number 1, and post number 7 is R small n. And Penny Lewis says her favourite is the traditional Christmas dinner. Traditional turkey dinner for Penny. Now, R small n 623. R small n 623 says, "Hi John, I joined your group and my favourite Christmas dish is actually inside another dish. It's the stuffing in the Christmas turkey. I like the kind my mother-in-law, who was from Holland, used to make, and I now make. It's stale bread crumbled, of course, pork, sausage, onions, garlic, sage, an egg to bind it, seasonings to taste, stuffed into the turkey. It's particularly tasty with steaming turkey gravy poured over, but also good as leftovers when sliced and fried with eggs and bacon like substitute potatoes. All the rest is delicious, but the stuffing is my favourite." So, R small n, who is Rachel from Malton in Ontario, I'll be in touch with you, Rachel, because you've won yourself a Beardychiel pattern, and Penny has won herself the Sancta Lucia pattern from Yarmouthstay Anna Friedberg. And I'm sure you're both going to have an absolutely wonderful time with that. Woohoo! There's exciting. I've never done one of these live. It's quite good doing it this way. We've got a little bit of time left on Santa's giveaway. If you remember, there were 6 presents in Santa's sack in my last podcast, and those 6 presents will be up for grabs until the 14th of January. I extended that giveaway, pardon me, my eyes have gone really itchy, until the 14th of January, and for that one you had to tell us what your favourite piece of knitting of 2017 was. For the Sancta Lucia giveaway, you had to tell us what your favourite food over the festive period was. So that's wonderful news. So as I say, a few days left on Santa's giveaway. Get along to my Facebook group if you're interested in Santa's giveaway, and feel free to tell us about your favourite knitting project of 2017 if you want to be included and pick up one of those prizes. That finishes the 2 of those off. On New Year's Eve, just before New Year's Eve, I launched a New Year's discount on all Beardychiel patterns, and I've called it Nerdy New Cast On, Nerdy being New Year's Day. So a Nerdy New Cast On discount from Beardychiel is available. And the code you need is Nerdy Discount, all one word, spelling at the bottom of the screen or the top of the screen while we've been chatting. Nerdy Discount, all one word, and if you put that in on Ravelry, you will get a 15% discount on any purchases that you're making at the moment. And that will stay active until... I've forgotten how long I've said that's on until. I think that's on until the 14th as well. And that finishes off the competitions for the time being. So what else have I been up to? Well, holiday roundup. Before I do that, I'm going to go and grab a quick cold drink. I'll be back in a sec. I'm back and feeling refreshed having had a drink. Right, holiday roundup. How was your holiday period? I know how mine was. Mine was absolutely wonderful. As you know from the last post, the Christmas lights were up, decorations were up, everything was on schedule to run smoothly. And on Christmas morning, Janet and I woke up in peace and tranquility, and about 9:30, Alistair, Louise and the two boys arrived. Sarah and Ian followed a little after that, and we did the present opening together, which was absolutely super fun. And then just about midday, or just after midday, Alistair, Louise and their two went off to visit Louise's mum and dad, to open presents there and have lunch. Sarah and Ian considered themselves at home here for the next 48 hours, so they settled into a quiet afternoon. Christmas dinner for the afternoon went on about, well, the turkey was on mid-morning. It came out about 2ish, left it to rest, put the fruit and veg and other things that needed to be done on about 4ish, and we ate at the back of 5. There was no mad rush, so we had the first course and the second course, and then a long break and a sleep in a chair. And in the middle of all that, Alistair and the two boys came back to leave Louise for an hour's peace and quiet at her mum and dad's, playing party games with our brothers and our mum and dad and granddad. And the two boys wanted back to play with EO for a little while, so they came back, had some more nibbles in the afternoon and played with Ian for a while before they all got tired and went off home to their beds. Ian and Sarah decided that they would just stay overnight and go home on Boxing Day. So that was great fun. We had an absolutely whale of a night. Ian and I playing Pie Face 3, which was quite good fun because we had no aerosol cream in the house. Consequently, we tried to play it using peanut butter on the end of the face. The hand that hits you in the face, peanut butter was just too dense and heavy, and it slowed the hand down, so you saw it coming. But other than that, no, a really good fun day. On Boxing Day we had my niece Megan, her other half, Sarah and Ian, and we had a pile of leftovers. Oh, nephew Thomas and his other half Ellie, and Kieran, their little one. Absolutely super fun. 2 wonderful days, and then the sort of the crimbo limbo bit, that sort of 2 or 3 days of wafting gently between Christmas and New Year. And then at New Year we had the preparations for New Year on Hogmanay, New Year's Eve to the rest of the world, and Janet and I went and brought in New Year with friends, which we've done for the last 4 or 5 years, and we were home by about 2 AM and spoke to the kids on New Year's Day, had some of them in for a roast beef dinner, and basically it's been a very sedate, a very relaxed and a very civilised holiday period, and I've thoroughly enjoyed all of it. There was nothing too extreme, I have to say, so that was good fun. Prezzies were good fun. There's been some really nice prezzies. There was a nice bottle of mead which hasn't been opened yet, and it'll be used for some odds and ends and for tasting later in the year. There was some yarn, some needles, some project bags, some other bits and pieces, but a really sensible Christmas. No massive overeating, no massive amounts of alcohol, because my body doesn't tolerate alcohol well nowadays, unfortunately. I would still like to tolerate alcohol, but my body doesn't like it, so easy come, easy go. No great loss. And that's basically been that bit. It's all come and gone rather pleasantly. So that's the end of the holiday roundup, and that takes us to the last bit of today, and that's yarn festivals. Well, we'll do them in the order that they're going to come. First one is Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which is in March, as you all know. I applied to be one of their nominated podcasters for the Podcast Lounge this year. I unfortunately wasn't successful, and we'll find out in the next week or so who the lucky 19 podcasters have been. In fact, most of the podcasting friends I have across the UK, Ireland, Scandinavia, and the 4 or 5 that I speak to on a sort of 2 or 3 times a week basis in the States and Canada, none of them were successful either. So it'll be interesting to find out who they've gone for this year as their 19 sort of nominated podcasters. It's not going to stop me being there, it's not going to stop me having a whale of a time. It would have been a nice added bonus. But hey, easy come, easy go. You don't always get something for nothing. So I'm looking forward to booking my tickets when they go on sale in the next week or so. Janet and I have our accommodation booked. So I will definitely be there by hook or by crook. I just hope that it's a nice gentle drive on the way down, and that I catch up with lots of folk who I'll look forward to seeing. So I'm looking forward to that. It should be great fun this year. I'm hoping to have this shawl, the Pentland Firth shawl, finished and to be wearing it when I'm there. And I'll probably launch the pattern just before EYF as well, as my sort of woohoo, it's EYF time, here's something new for you to buy yarn for, as if people don't have enough ideas by the time they get to EYF. But absolutely super duper, looking forward to that. We're going to be staying in the same place as we stayed last year, which was the Holiday Inn Hotel next to Edinburgh Zoo in Corstorphine Road, which is only about a 5 or 6 minute drive from the Corn Exchange, so it's actually a good location. And from there, again, your 5-10 minutes drive into the centre of Edinburgh for most of the other things that are likely to be happening. So all in all, it should be absolutely fine. So that's that one. And at the far end of the year, of course, Perth Festival of Yarn. I was chatting to my friend Eva Christie again this week, and we had a chat, and she asked me would I have time to chat and start to talk about edits and updates for the Perth Festival of Yarn website, and they started yesterday. So they're coming on nicely, and I'm really looking forward to the vendors application packs for that starting to go out next week. I think they start going out on the 10th. I'm sure she said the 10th. So vendor application packs will go out on the 10th. If you're interested in a vendor application pack, as we said last time, email vendors@perthfestivalofyarn.uk. If you're an ordinary run-of-the-mill everyday customer and you would like to be kept up to date with details of tickets, classes, times, dates, social events, merchandising and whatever, then you can add yourself to the mailing list by sending a hello, I'm Fred Blogs and I'm interested message to, oh my brain has gone, who are you contacting? hello@perthfestivalofyarn.uk. The email address went right out of my head. Must be senility. So again, hello@perthfestivalofyarn.uk. And it's getting exciting because the work's actually started. It's going to be great fun. So all the information that you might need will be coming out in newsletter updates, as well as appearing on the website and on social media. Perth Festival of Yarn you can track down on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and in Ravelry. And if you find them all there, you'll also find occasional posts from Eva in her podcast Diary of a Yarn Festival Director. So there's a couple of episodes of that on YouTube, and more to come later in the year, time permitting. So no, it is all sounding rather exciting, and I'm really looking forward to each and every bit of it. But for the time being, that's everything for this podcast. So until I see you next time, keep well, keep happy, keep knitting. Cheerio!